Would like to give a big shout out to and say thank you to everyone who has continued to sign up over at the Florida Maki Patreon channel. It is only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. This is the lowest allowable level, fully refundable in the first 90 days. The content is primarily psychological operations training, but we can speak about things over there at Patreon that we can't talk about here. We take a more gloves-off approach, and I'm sure there'll be comments down below this video that will give testimony to the quality of the content over there. Now, for the last few months, I have been kind of, having a little bit of fun with some trolls that came to my channel last August when the La Palma volcano was active. And they were saying, Florida Maki, you better get out of Florida, because there's a huge tsunami coming. Didn't you watch Nat Geo or Discovery or History Channel back in the 2000s when they did all those specials? Well, even the folks that did those specials, those scientists, came out later and admitted they were wrong about this mountain collapsing into the sea all at once. They had found out that their studies were wrong and that it collapsed slowly and no tsunami ever occurred. So I made a couple of memes to kind of make fun of folks a little bit because people make fun of me too. But there is a situation developing that could send massive tsunamis all around the world. It wouldn't matter where you were. I'm sure a lot of you saw the video that we did a couple of days ago. BP Earthwatch had released a video where he covered this, and we, of course, gave him a big shout out for that. Antarctica is experiencing temperatures that are 70 to 90 degrees above normal. Not 7, not 17, 70. Now, it is Antarctic winter, so temperatures are approaching, even with the increase, near zero, but this is the time of year when things are supposed to be getting more frozen down there, and they're not. Now, what if something like this were to occur during Antarctic summer, which is, of course, our winter? There's a huge atmospheric river right now dumping a whole bunch of rain. And beneath this ice sheet, many people don't realize there are hundreds and hundreds of huge freshwater lakes that stay water year-round and flowing rivers. Now, this is the video that I was talking about that we did 19 March, so it was about 3 days ago, I guess. You see, this is critical. If there were to be an event like this during Antarctic summer, when the temperature gets up to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, what do you think would happen to this ice sheet if they had 3 days over 100 degrees? Think about that for 1 second. If they had 3 days over 100 degrees, in this particular case, it'd be 129 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's just say it even got up just to 90 for 3 days. These lakes would all start to merge. There would be no ice between them, and you would see lakes forming the size of the Great Lakes. And then once one of those let loose and started careening toward the ocean, a body of water the size of Lake Huron slamming into the ocean would send a wave around the globe multiple times. And this is an image from NASA. This is a map of the rivers that they know exist. And as you can see, this is where they all dump out into the sea. Right out here in the middle, this starts to melt, this starts to crack. You're going to see rivers twice as wide as the Mississippi, and probably twice as deep, moving much, much faster. Now, they talk about this in the context of all that seawater hitting, all that fresh water hitting the seawater, and then desalinating it and messing up the haline cycle that takes warm water from the equatorial regions and moves it north up to around Great Britain, and then bringing the salty water back. To give you an example, there's a video out there where there's a river that comes very near the ocean, and there's just this sandbank, and what you're looking at here is not the ocean, this is the river. And some guys make a small cut in the sand so that the river can drain into the ocean. And in only a matter of minutes, it goes from that tiny little trickle to this, and it creates one of these. And they do this, it doesn't even take an hour. It takes like 20 minutes to get to this level once that water starts to push. Now, on an Antarctic scale, where you have ice amounts that are larger than the entire continental United States, a mile thick, and that starts to melt. I mean, how fast does ice melt at 90 degrees? Go take a glass of ice, just ice alone, and go put it out in the sun, out in the middle of the yard in the summertime. How long before it's water? Now imagine all this becoming water all at once. See, what they've been talking about is slowly over time and the effect that that might have. Nobody that I've heard has talked about what if it happens all at once, which could very well be the case. With temperature swings like this, absolutely, you could see catastrophic amounts of water slamming into the sea. And this is East Antarctica over here, so this is the likely candidate for getting hit would be Australia. This is South America. I believe Africa is up here. So this would be absolutely devastating. And it would race all over the globe, something that big. Because, I mean, La Palma's big, you know, as far as a mountain goes, but it's not the size of Lake Huron. Just to give you guys an example. There are lakes down there bigger than this. That amount of energy, that would be something that nobody could foresee. And Florida, by the way, those of you worrying about tsunamis, is actually kind of protected. Because tsunamis that would come through here would have to come through, they would get dissipated largely by the British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Bahamas, these banks. Now, yeah, up here, this would probably take the worst of it. But most of the Gulf would be sequestered and protected. Because by the time it worked its way through the sea, the Caribbean Sea, and made its way through here, it would lose a lot of its energy. But up here, where they're just right out on the edge, it'd be game over. It would be game over, and it would happen literally in a matter of a week, 2 weeks. And there'd be nothing anybody could do about it. There's no preparing for that. And that would be something that even the global warming types would have to say that they didn't predict. An incredible event to see temperatures 70 to 90 degrees above normal. And once again, right now, that just brings the temperature kind of up to freezing in some areas. But if that happens during Antarctic summer, and there's a huge heat dome that parks itself right over Antarctica, it's going to start to drive its own weather. Because this happens in Florida, where it gets so hot, but it's so moist. You start baking off feet of ice per hour. It's going to make the air down there just dense as can be. And then you have the hot air meet the moist air, just like happens in every afternoon in Florida. It rains every afternoon because of this. You have the sun come up, you have a nice sunny day. But usually by about 3 o'clock, clouds are starting to form, and you get these pockets and these little thunderstorms. And you get the rain. That's why everything grows down here so well. So, anyway, there's another video out there from Tech Insider that talks about this. And this is from years ago, where they went to King Baudouin, the ice sheet, where they thought there was a meteor crater impact, but they didn't find that. They found a huge lake. And that's what was causing the giant depression. And that the ice shelf is weakening from it and cracking, and believe me, this would be something to be concerned about. And there's not much you could do to prepare for it. That's the worst part. Very little could be done. Because even those of you, by the way, who live out in the middle, if you think there are supply chain issues now, getting things, wait until virtually every port in the world is destroyed by a tsunami like that. You see, it won't matter where you live. It truly won't, because you'll be affected by it. Transportation would come to a standstill. And countries, probably the best bet would be Brazil. Brazil is probably the only country in the world right now of any size that can say that they are completely self-sufficient when it comes to food and oil. And, they could even refine their own oil and make their own gasoline. And most of their refineries are well inland. I mean, they would suffer greatly, don't get me wrong. They export quite a bit. But as far as being able to put enough food on plates for people to keep people from starving, I think they would stand the best chance. So, anyway, I will leave it there. But once again, thank you to everyone who has signed up over at Patreon. It's critical we get as many people signed up over there as possible so that we can have parity against this platform, so that it's kind of an even Steven thing. So, like I said, it's the lowest possible level, $1. Florida is successful because Florida has low taxes, and that encourages people to participate, and that's kind of the goal behind the lowest possible level here. The $1 keeps the trolls away, keeps the fake accounts away, keeps the spam away, the phishing, all that kind of stuff. Just having that little tiny paywall stops so much. So, anyway, God bless. Have a wonderful week. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.